Going, going.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the episode of Tiffany Talks. I'm so happy you guys are here. This show was created for everyday people to have extraordinary lives. And today's topic is going to spare no expense on helping you break through the key to happiness, baby. It's about how to get married and be happy. This is a topic that everybody's talking about, happiness, 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 and how do we get it? So the other day, have you guys all know my sister Cedra, who is a coach and also works with the mindset and leadership. And we have so many extensive conversations about this. We said, you know what? We're going to take this conversation live. We're going to share with you because just talking to ourselves, right, filling each other up with all this information doesn't support all of you rock stars out there. So we are just now deciding to, you know what, bring this conversation about getting married and happiness to you guys so that we can let you know what we discovered the other day, right? So welcome, CJ. Do you want to chime in on this subject?
Yeah, and I have no idea what we discovered. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what we're going live with. I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
You get to give me breadcrumbs. I'm liable to say anything here.
Okay, I know. I always have to let her know. Cedra's the one, like, whenever I answer the phone and my kids are there, I'm like, you're on speaker, you're on speaker. She's that girl, because, like, she might say anything. So, like, when people, I'm like, girl, hey, we're live. Okay. So, anyway, so the other day, so Cedra has expressed to me that she wants to get married, right?
Okay.
She said that she wanted. I see you, rock stars. Thank you for your patience. We're actually in a testing phase, which is supposed to be hush hush, right? But we're in a testing phase of some new technology, and so that's what happened. That's why we were late today, but we're here now, right? Life is now. So we were talking the other day about her wanting to get married, and I was encouraging her to date, and she was like, "Yeah, like, I mean, I'm going on this date, and I didn't really like the guy. He was kind of boring, and da 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 da." Okay, and so it made me think, like, well, when you go on dates, right, it's a chance to, like, meet new people, have new experiences. She went to this beautiful dinner, right? She was wine and dine. But if it's not the one that leads to marriage, then you're not happy. Are you guys
Okay. Now I see where we are in this conversation.
where you're trying to get somewhere, and while you're on the journey, you're not happy, you're not satisfied until you get there, and the journey is the joy. So I said, Cedra, like, you just had this amazing dinner, you love going, you had great conversation, you guys have things in common business wise. That was a happy experience. So how did that come up for you when we were talking about that?
It was super significant because it's true. I was approaching it like destination joy
Mhm.
instead of being in the moment of the experience of dating. So it was super profound when you were like, yeah, but you had a great time. And that is joy and that is happiness. And destination marriage is the journey, it's the dashes. That's the process. So what one when I go on a date, at some point that will be him.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what am I saying? I'm not going to enjoy the date until I know it's him?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
pretty much how I felt like I was approaching it, almost. And not that I was not in enjoyment and gratitude. I was in enjoyment and gratitude, and I expressed it to my dates. I was just kind of like this idea of like, is this a waste of time?
Yes.
That's
Oh
the
my God,
issue.
powerful. Is it a waste of time? So I know there's a lot of ladies out there and gents who are on the dating journey, and you feel like there's sort of a rush to the altar, right? Like, I gotta meet my person right now so I can be happy, right? So I can get married and be happy. Destination marriage. But then does that mean that all along the way that you're not happy? Right? Does that mean that every date that you go on, if it doesn't end in marriage, that it wasn't a good connection, that you didn't learn something, that you didn't experience it? And so when I was getting ready today, I was trying to think of, because I'm on the other side of it, right? So, like, I've been married, and I mean, you ask a lot of married people about happiness, they're gonna be like, yeah, okay, like, so, like, that's once you get into the marriage, right? happiness means something completely different, right? Than getting married, right? So I was thinking today, I was getting ready, and I was like, okay, what's another way to think about this sort of postponed joy? So for me, success is when I want to travel, I just always book a first class ticket, right? So that's like when I want to travel, I don't go to economy. I don't spend time looking for a ticket. I just go on and I know for sure that I'm traveling first class, right? That to me is like the ultimate joy of life, right? But does that mean that I can't go anywhere until I can go first class? Does that mean that I can't have fun watching a movie in a basic class ticket? No, it does not. Does it mean that like even when I'm on the airplane, having friends and talking to my daughters, that I'm not having fun? No, it does not. So we get to realize that while we are en route, okay, to our goal, the journey is the joy, baby. The journey is
Yeah.
so destination marriage, right? So when you had that and you had that revelation, how did it change your view about dating now?
Well, it's interesting. I've always had since transformational coaching, I've had the revelation that life is not about the destination. However, when we're in our life, we have a gap. We don't see it necessarily for ourselves. So I didn't necessarily see that I was creating a destination out of my dating experience. I didn't see it until you showed it to me. And I was like, oh, it gets to be fun. The process. Like it was so much fun. I spent the entire day getting ready for my date on last Monday. I spent the entire day. I got my nails done. I got my lashes done. I got waxed. I shaved my leg. I mean, I did all these things to prepare. That's all I did the entire day was get ready for the date. It was hours. And it wasn't because of the date. It was because I was getting ready just for me.
Yes,
And
right. Because you guys, this is another fun thing about dating. Because I gotta get dressed up and blah blah blah. But this is loving on yourself. You took care of
yeah.
your skin and your nails, and you did all of this so that you could feel good, right? Self-love and self-care. So this is part of the amazing journey of dating. You get to show up as your best self for every date. If you're not dating, right? If you're not dating, sometimes your best self doesn't show up during the day.
And let me tell you why. There's this very significant reason why I create this experience for myself. When I put myself in the highest vibrational energy of love for me,
Mhm.
meaning like I cut my hair that day. I mean, I spent hours on myself getting ready because that created so much internal happiness for me. I took that happiness with me on the date.
Yes, there we go.
So when he met me, I was vibrating happiness and joy because I felt great. I felt great. I was early. I was 30 minutes early to the date because all I did it was like Cinderella. And
Mhm.
I typically don't even use those types of analogies for something like this, right? Because I'm not necessarily an advocate of the Cinderella story. I'm saying it felt like that moment when you're preparing, like prom. It totally felt like prom for me. And I didn't go to my prom. I didn't
Mm.
go to my prom, oddly. And so every time I go on a date now, I'm treating it like prom
Mhm. Mhm.
because
And
it is prom.
listen, you guys, listen up, ladies. Listen up, ladies. This is a great thing about the journey because when you don't date, how do you dress every day? What are you putting on? How are you feeling about yourself? And some people might say, well, I'm natural. Great, great. Okay. Even if you're natural and you don't do makeup, what do you do special to level up when you're in the dating process? And do you look at do you look at that as a burden or something joyous? And so everything is a choice, you guys. Every experience is a choice. So as you're on this journey, whatever journey it is, right? Is it something that's burdensome to you get there, or is it joyful? So like I would suggest to you that if you're in the dating experience, right, and you're thinking about getting married, right, level up yourself. Leveling up yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically, right, will allow you to vibrate on that level to where you will ultimately attract someone that matches your vibration, right?
So
So,
true. I'm
right?
gonna say something though. I'm gonna say something, and it's not gonna sound good to anybody out there. It doesn't sound good to me when I face it. What I'm gonna say is that if you're like me and you've been dating, and my sister and I have talked about this ad nauseum, if you're like me and you've been dating out there in the world, and and you keep meeting people and they're not quite your idea, they're not quite the idea. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say that's your vibration, and
Yes,
you're not quite either. So it's
yes,
a mirror. It's a mirror. So that's an opportunity, like you just said, Tiffany, to upgrade yourself in the areas, whatever area you see in your partner that you're on a date with, that mirror that's reflecting, look at what's missing in your estimation. That's because you vibrated and attracted that. So
yes,
I tell myself that. I'm like, ooh, Cedra, girl, go to the gym tomorrow, girl, because you get to upgrade.
yes. That is so powerful. And thank you for your honesty. And I'm going to put it out there blunt, right? So when you go to that, like, I don't know why, why these crazy broke down guys keep being attracted to me. Why those are the ones that, okay, then why are they attracted to you? You're sending out a signal. Yeah, 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 yeah. There is something crazy and broke down in you, right? So if you're attracting these guys that are crazy and broke down, there's something that's crazy and broke down in you. If you're attracting a guy that's non-committal, ask yourself, are you a person that keeps your word? Are you committed? Right? Because a lot of times we always think about commitment when it has to do with fidelity, being faithful. But are you committed to your word with yourself? How do you show up every day in your life? So people are like, I want somebody that's like loyal and committed. Meanwhile, like you're in breakdown with your word with yourself about everything, right? So that's a vibration, right? You're gonna, or if you're talking like, I want somebody rich, right? I want to be a rich guy, right? And you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? And you don't have two coins to rub between you, and you're wondering why you keep attracting people that don't have money, right?
And
Um,
mine is working out. You know how I am about a guy who's fit with abs.
right.
You know that I'm like, okay, well, I'll tell you, I'll call him like, well, he didn't look like he worked out. Well, if he works out, that's my biggest gripe. Well, he didn't look like he worked out. And my sister's like, well, when's the last time you worked out?
so so what we can do, there's an exercise, right? And listen, you guys, it may be kind of brutal, you may not want to do it, and I'm just going to use this example that Cedra just gave, right? So she would say, well, he looks like he works out. Replace the he with I. Uh-oh. Okay, replace the he with I. Whatever gripe you have about that person, replace it with I. So I don't look like I work out. Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch, right? Ouch, right?
Yeah.
It hurts. And so when that hurts, you can either take that and deflect it, or you can take that and use that as fuel to level your vibration, right? To take care of yourself to the level so which when you see somebody, and that's when people meet and they when there's
Shania, she said it doesn't mean that they don't work out. It's true.
yeah, it doesn't because looking like you work out is relative to a lot of people. It's relative. And so what are you really saying when you say that he doesn't look like he works out?
What I'm really saying is, I know that humans operate from their habits. And I'm basically, when I'm dating, I'm looking for people who have similar habits or improved habits. So my goal is to be in a coupledom and we work out. That's my goal, to be in a coupledom and we work out. My goal is not to be in a coupledom where we just are sedentary. That's not my goal. So when I say he doesn't look like he works out, what I mean is he didn't seem active. He didn't seem energized. That's
Mhm.
what I mean. Not necessarily muscular, I'm saying the energy of his being was not, energetic, like a person who has high levels of energy. That's what I mean.
Mhm. And you know what? When you said that, I thought about something else. Like we always, okay, let me not say we,
Always.
but we always, right? Okay, so
My phone's about to die. 1 second, my promoter.
okay, so listen, you guys. So what happens? People habitually look for other people to fill their gaps, right?
Yeah.
So like they look for other people to they complete me, but it really is like I'm not enough, and you fill in the part where I'm not enough, right? That's what people are really saying. So when you complete people, they're vibrating, right? They can have a healthy relationship. Sometimes you can take people who are really in struggle and strife and just right, and they come together, right? So you can have and when you first start talking to somebody, like I remember I was dating a guy and like my husband cheated and his wife and we were bonded around, experience. Like we're bonded around that experience. And what happens, we get to look at like who we were to create, what ways were we to create where we attract somebody that was that their word. Woo, right? So
Wow, that's powerful.
yes, who are you being where you attract somebody that doesn't keep their word? I got chills right now, so I'm a little bit scared right now because we always have our fingers out, right? We have our fingers out at other people. This and this and this and this. And there's nothing that you can do about that. The only thing that you can do something about is this, so that you can raise your vibration. You can raise your vibration. So when you're on your path to getting married, right, which is so interesting. That's why they say, "Oh, he's so young or she's so young to get married," because that there's so much life and self-discovery ahead. So Tiffany, who were you at the time of the situation? Who's there that wants to know that? Okay. Okay, you guys, you want to get down and dirty?
Get
Okay.
down. Hey, what are you prepared to say, girl?
Okay, so listen. So when I was in my marriage and I think I did a video about this, right? And he was not honest with me, right? He wasn't honest with me about um, you know, lots of things, right? And so there is the finger, right? There's the finger. He cheated. He did this, right? And it wasn't until I started studying the work of transformation, which is why I coach it, which is why Cedra coaches it, because it really helps us level up in our life, have the self-reflection, right? So when I was in the relationship, I didn't know what role I played, right? It was just like he did this and he did that. But upon reflection, I realized that I was not keeping my word with myself. I was not being my true self in the relationship. And if I'm not being my true self in the relationship, I'm going to attract somebody who's not being their true self. Bam, right?
Woo!
Not being. So if I'm not being authentic with self, I will attract somebody who's also not authentic, right? Oh my God, right?
So
So,
when you
huh?
say you weren't being authentic with self, what do you mean exactly? Because that doesn't translate for someone who doesn't know what
Okay.
that means.
Okay. So just what I mean by that is I was in a relationship, and this is so interesting because every that we have in life is for a reason. And even though I can look back and see where didn't go the way I planned, I still have no regrets. I have zero regrets. So I entered into the relationship believing, right? And I believe this wholeheartedly that I needed to shift my being into a feminine energy that repressed um, a part of me. Like I am a leader. I'm a leader, you guys.
Yes, you
Um,
are.
and I know that, but I felt like in order to be in a marriage, I had to take a second seat, right? And you know how they say that he's your king and you support your queen. And I was really, I said, you know what, Tiffany, like Up until now, you have not met the right guy, so it must be you. And there were some things that I did learn about myself, right? So it must be me, right? So I said maybe it's that your energy is too masculine, right? So I felt like because I was ambitious, I was a go-getter, and I just didn't leave any space. Um, I just didn't leave any space for what I understood to be femininity, right? So then I shifted myself into being more feminine in that relationship, which worked out beautifully at the beginning, right? But then when you're not authentic with yourself, you start to resent others. You start to resent the person that you can't be real with, right? So what happened, it created a breakdown in my relationship because I was not feeling my whole full self with him, right? So what did that create? Disconnect. It create disconnect. And that disconnection is a theme in my life, right? So you can only be fully connected when you're authentic and vulnerable, you guys. So this is what I'm working through always, like authenticity, vulnerability, so that I can attract the depth and the breadth of the love that I know I'm worthy of. Okay.
Yes.
So what happened, if you're asking me, well, how did I create that? Right? I wasn't being authentic with myself, right? And but if I look back on it, would I have done it again? Yes, I would. I got two amazing kids. I had a great experience, right? And now I use that experience not only to level up my life, but to help others, right? So you can turn your struggle into a success by just changing your perspective, right? So I have no regrets about it, but it's a learning process, the journey, right? So the journey, even though it led to separation and breakup, it doesn't mean that the journey was a wash, right? There's joy in the journey. What were you going to say, C?
No, that's super um accurate from my perspective. And I think we talked a little bit yesterday about spreading, the idea of spreading. And what that means is, like you said, you had a successful 20-year relationship, more than 16 years of marriage. And then when you realize that you're in the middle of a breakdown in your relationship, it does not diminish the entirety of what you created. And
Mhm.
so there's this idea in the world that when we separate or when anything doesn't work out, let's just go back to my situation. We could use it for a long-term period, or we could use it for a moment in time. When something doesn't work out in the moment, like I go on this big, beautiful date, it was amazing. It was 8 hours out of my life, including the date. And it didn't end in it ended in a second date request. It hasn't happened, right? So, whatever. So the point is, when we are in an experience, the experience is not marred by the result of the experience. The experience gets we get to learn from the experience. There's an idea in the world called spreading. And the idea is, do not spread one moment that doesn't suffice or doesn't satisfy you over all the moments that were great. Don't spread the discontent over the rest of the day, over the week. The
Yes.
discontent gets to be isolated in the moment, and
Mhm.
you get to be able to see and be in gratitude for the moments that led up to that moment and the moments that followed that moment that were your vision, that was supporting you greatly in all the ways they get to.
Yes.
Is that landing out
it
there?
it landed for me, and what she was saying is, and this is the whole topic of the show today, about happiness, destination happy, right? Destination happy is every day. It's every moment of every day. So what happened right now is that we were working with someone on this live, and I was going to be late, and I was frustrated, right? And because I want to keep my word to be on time. And if I would have let that frustration spread into the video, spread into the rest of the day, like, I can't believe that happened. And I'm mad at everybody. I'm mad that things didn't work out. And I'm mad that then I would just take away from all the beauty. So that was an isolated moment. And this is a beautiful moment right now, right? So within the same 40 minutes, you can have frustration and joy. You can have frustration and joy. You can look for joy, right? You can look for joy in every moment. So even then, even during that moment of connection, I learned something, right? I learned something when we were having an issue. I'm like, oh, you got to connect from your phone, not your computer, right? So that was like, you learn things. And sometimes it's quantum learning when you're in that breakdown. That's why we have it, because when everything is going great, then you don't really learn about it. So when you're in a relationship and it's always great, sometimes you don't go deep. You go deep when you're in the breakdown, right? So you go deep and you come up, and you go deep and you come up. And the breakdown gets to be joyous too, you guys. The breakdown gets to be joyous too. Because when you get married, right, or when you reach your destination, right, that's only the beginning. It's like having a baby, right? Like, oh, look, it's so cute. The baby's born, la, la, la. It's only the beginning. It's only the beginning,
And
right?
that's what's so significant about it, that planning for the destination togetherness is setting yourself up for an unrealistic experience. Because right when you reach destination togetherness, that's when it starts. And everything that you did up until destination togetherness gets to be continued. So you're working out, you worked out to meet the guy, you're continuing to work out, you're taking care of yourself, you continue to take care of yourself. The way you do one thing leading up to the relationship is the way you're going to do things while in the relationship. That's the way it works. Who you are being now is who you're going to be then.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
that's why everything that's happening is happening in the moment, always right now. It's never at that destination. The destination really doesn't exist. The
Yeah.
destination is always the beginning, like you said.
Yeah, I've heard some people that like spend tons of money on the wedding, and they have this beautiful wedding, and and all of the things that they did it for, they're not really feeling, because it's all about what it looks like, the setup, how many people came, and they're not being present with what's happening in the relationship with each other. That happens a lot. And then you'll hear about these lavish weddings, and like 8 months later they're divorced because it was all about the wedding, not the relationship.
Destination wedding. That
Destination.
was their goal, and
Yes.
they pulled it off.
Yeah, and they pulled it off. So the question is, getting married and being happy. This is the topic, right? And you can put this on anything: starting a business and being successful, traveling first class, right? um, raising kids that are happy and thriving. Whatever your goal is, right? You get to dive in to the moment of each day. And we call that creating a 10-10 relationship. And that's one thing that I learned the most, that if you're waiting for the 10, when
Yes.
we're married will be better. When I make $1 million, I'll be successful.
When I lose weight.
When I lose weight, I'll be happy,
Yeah.
right? Or I'll feel pretty, right? All of these wins,
When
right?
my hair grows longer.
Hair grows longer, right? All of these different things. Like when this happens, then you'll feel a certain way. So just feelings are like waves in the ocean, right? They're like waves in the ocean. They change all the time. Like I could be joyous right now, and something could happen that could get me in my feelings in a minute, right? And so what you get to do is learn how to shift into an emotion that supports you, right? So when you're working on this 10-10 relationship, um, being in the present moment, right? That means working on yourself and taking time to see the other person, to just see them as human instead of seeing them as your expectation.
Yes. Ooh, say that again. Say that again. See
So,
them as human.
yes, a 10-10 relationship is about, yes, you bring your best self, like your best self to the table, your open and honest self, and then you see the other person as human instead expectation of them. And your expectation of them is an expectation is a setup for failure, right?
Mhm.
Expect so you see your expectation of them, then they're never going to meet it because they're not in your mind, right? But when you see them as having a human experience, right? A human experience, then you can relate to them. Something happens when we have a mate, when we think everything is supposed to sync up exactly, otherwise it's a wash, right? It's
Yeah.
a, this person did this, that person did that, like forget it, right? But I invite you guys to pull back and say, okay, like maybe it didn't work out, but this is a human to human being connection. connection, and how do we take the joy out of that moment? And when you live your life like that in relationship, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a business, same thing with the business, you guys. Like, so, you know, throughout my business, it's been great and down and great and down and great and down and great again, right? And through that journey of the business, right? Through that,
Mhm.
I've enjoyed it because I love what I do, you guys. I love what I do. So when you're in love, you guys, then you're willing to take those ups and downs, right? So when you find somebody that meets your vibration and you fall in love, that means
Mhm.
you're ready to go on that ride, right? It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
it goes up, right?
Yeah.
How boring would that be? Truly. Like, what if you just up and never went down? What if you went on a roller coaster that went all the way up and then you just stopped and got, right? What would that feel like? Okay, just think about it. But you want that thrill, whoosh, 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 and have it made it through. And when you get through and you're feeling like exhilarated, that's called life. That thing is called enjoying the ride, enjoying the roller coaster, because nobody wants to get on a roller coaster that just goes up and then you get off, right? Doom, 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 and then you're on a roller coaster. You know, what kind of freaking ride is that? Right? So you want a ride that takes you on a journey. And when you know that it's scary sometimes, then you're like, ah, and then when you make it up, you go down, you're like, yay! All the emotions on the ride. That's love.
Yeah.
That's relationship. That's what it looks like, right? So
Mhm.
for all you
And
people,
there's another point. There's another point that gets to be said. How much time do we have? It's going to be. It's like a
yeah,
2 minute point.
well, let's wrap up. And then we'll take
Okay. Huh?
some questions. If anybody has questions.
Okay. So when you said something about the ride and the journey, there's one other aspect to relationships that's really significant. Being able to see yourself from your perspective, the hero perspective, looking at you through your eyes. That's the hero perspective. However, if you're always in your perspective, you never get to see how it is from another person's perspective. So there's three perspectives that we get to operate from all the time. First person perspective, you're looking at yourself through your eyes. Second person perspective, you get to step into your partner's shoes and see how you look to them,
Yeah.
right? How do you look to them? So that you can this is how you're sympathetic and empathetic, by being able to look at relationships from another person's perspective. And then as the observer perspective, the third person, to be able to see how you guys are interacting together. If you're able to look at your relationship, any relationship, a coworker relationship, a employer employee relationship, from first person, second person, and third person, all at the same time, you gather information. That information becomes wisdom. The reason why it's significant, if you're only looking through the first person perspective, that's called narcissism. If you're only looking through the second person perspective, that's called being a enabler, right? A pushover. And if you're only looking from the third person perspective, that's called detachment and disconnection. That's why it's significant to have all three perspectives at the same time in any relationship.
That's so powerful, so powerful. And like I think so many of us want to look at it. We're always justified in our position, and then we look for people who agree with us, right? Right? They're like, and then this happened. Like, girl, really, bro? Yeah, blah, blah. And then you get somebody that agrees with you, and then that way you just stay in breakdown, right? So a true friend will say, like, okay, can you look at it from this perspective? And what about this perspective? So you look at things from all different ways, and that creates understanding, you
Yeah.
guys. And when you have understanding, you can have growth, right? When you have just one perspective, you're like this, right? It's called an impasse. It's called an impasse. And sometimes when you create understanding, right, then you can understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And it's all neutral, right? You don't need to judge it. What works and what doesn't work for you. But you're compassionate, you're loving, and you're understanding along the way. All right,
Yes.
guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your patience. Does anybody have questions? I know Rainier came in and she pulled it straight to me. You
Girl,
ask
Rainier's not playing. She's not playing. She's talking.
ask her some questions. Why is it all about me? So if you guys have any questions or anything, you can ask away. Because you know what, we're authentic, we're open, we're honest, and whatever you want to know, we'll let you know as long as it's not being disrespectful. Okay. All right. Okay. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. And I was also thinking about relationships. I wanted to make this other comparison because, like for me, thank you, Sean. Uh, Relationships, people are. When do you know when it's over? Okay, that's a good question. Ooh, that's like another topic, right? So relationships are like almost like businesses, right? Some people are afraid to get into business because they don't want to fail, right? Some people are afraid to get in a relationship because they don't want to break up, right? So that happens. Some people have a fear, they're quantum leaping into the fear of things going wrong, right? So if you're in a relationship and if it's over, you ask yourself, have I been the best person that I can be in this relationship? And like Cedra said, have I looked at it from my perspective, from their perspective, and from the third person perspective, right? So the only thing that you can be responsible for is how you show up in a relationship. It's not about the other person. It's not about the other person. Go ahead.
And also, when we ask ourselves a question, how do we know? We're really asking ourselves, am I ready to look at this? Look at what I already know. When you ask yourself, how do I know the relationship is over? That is the moment right there. That energy of even questioning it is the energy of addressing it. Because the moment you have a thought that something's not going towards vision, it likely is not going towards vision. And there's a phrase we have in leadership, and it's called pretending not to know. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's no one who knows anything about you other than you. There's no one that knows more about you than you. There's no one that is an expert on you more than you. So there's no one you can ask anything about because the answer is within. Ask yourself, where if I'm feeling like my relationship is over, ask yourself what Tiffany just said. Have I been the highest version of myself? And also, where do I get to go and what's missing?
Hmm.
Become curious.
Hmm. And I love it that you said, what am I pretending to know? So when you ask questions, listen, you guys, this is another thing. If you put on a dress and you love that dress and it's amazing and it just slides on your body like, oh my God, this is great. You go, I'll take it. I'll take it. This is it. This is me.
In every color.
Right? If you put on a dress and it's a pretty dress, but it fits a little bit funny on the side, right? And you like it, it's a good price, right? The fabric is nice, but it's a little snug. And then you ask somebody, what do you think of this dress? Right? You already know what you don't like about the dress. You already know. When you just asking somebody to confirm what you already know. So when you're asking yourself, is the relationship over? Okay. What's not fitting right about the dress? Right? What's not fitting right about the dress? Because you know what it is that's getting in the way. Now you can decide, right? You can decide, well, let me alter the dress, right? Or let me lose some weight. Maybe the dress will fit better then, right? So there are other things that you can do, but you already know, right? So if the relationship, if those questions are coming up, right, they're for a reason. Doesn't mean that that's an invitation, right, to look at what's going on in your life.
Yes.
Before I forget, I know Cheryl said, "Why do I keep attracting successful guys that want to take advantage of successful women?" Right. So I'm just gonna we address this, right, and it's about vibration. So maybe you're successful, right, but maybe there's something in you that doesn't feel worthy, right? And if there is something in you, there is something in you that is vibrating and attracting those type of men. You get to look,
Mhm.
right? Usually it's a worthiness issue. It could be something. Usually it's like that's what you like. It could be like you need to be with somebody less than so that you can feel better than, or it could be like there's something in you that truly doesn't believe in love, so you attract to somebody else that doesn't believe in love. There's a whole bunch of different reasons, but it usually has to do with what you're vibrating on the inside. That's why we do the work that we do. That's why that makeover, so that we can make over our mindset, break through the limiting beliefs, and live the life that we want. Narcissism in relationships. Why are you attracting that narcissism?
And also, wait a minute. That Cheryl also said something that was super. It's a whole nother topic too. She said, "I've been told I'm too independent." How many times have we heard that we're too independent?
Mhm.
And there's a whole topic on being independent and actually having your man, your partner would like to feel like they are needed in the relationship. When a man says you're too independent, they're saying, where do I fit into this relationship? Where do you need me?
Mhm.
What can I bring to the table? That's basically what they're asking. And that's a whole nother topic. And I would love to go there because, lots of successful professional women have been told this. I mean, this phrase is out there in the world. It's popular. I've heard it lots of times.
Yes. And I experienced that as well. But you know what I found out for myself?
Mhm,
Like the independence leads to mistrust. It's not
mhm,
really being independent because I don't trust anybody to be there for me. So I do it on my own. Right. So
mhm,
that's where you find it within yourself. It's like independent women are usually women who don't trust. Right.
mhm.
Anybody to be there. They don't trust anybody to lives. So that independence, can come from that. My independence also came from like, oh my, that's true. Independence also comes from not having experienced a working relationship with a man. That's for with me. I was raised by a single mother, so I didn't experience what it was like to be in a co-relationship with a man. So then what I will do is like mimic being independent in a relationship, right? So if you're independent, but you say you're in a relationship, but you're not co-relating, right? That's called disconnect. And that creates a breakdown in the
Yeah.
relationship, right? Because of breakdown. So like that's it's a whole lot of time, a lot of work to do. That's what life is about. It's so sweet. It's so beautiful. I love it. All right, you guys, this is awesome. Thank you so much for questions. We will continue this conversation. So of the independent
Until I'm married, we're gonna be talking about this. Shoot.
talk about the independent woman. We're going to talk about, what you're attracting guys that, we'll go ahead and follow up. If there's something else that you guys want to talk about, type it.
Raising your vibration to the
Raise
man that you would like to attract.
us. That's the most important thing that you can do. Work on yourself, raise your vibration until you attract a man that matches you, right? You guys will,
Thank you, Cheryl.
right? I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Have a great day. Bye.